Hello everybody, I'm Paul the Nitro Skyrus and welcome back to part 2 of the Nitro Corner. Let's get right into it. It's time for our fantasy booker segment. I got 2 matches for you this time around. First, let us go back to Memphis, Tennessee, right around the period of November of 1981 to February 1982. Jimmy Hart's first family cannot seem to hack or beat Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, and Dutch Mantell, and Austin Idol, and drive him out of Memphis. That's next to impossible. But Jimmy Hart persistently tries to drive him out, and he has a new team that's going to come in there to get rid of them all. And then he goes on television in November of '82 and introducing them to the bemusement of Lance Russell, and they are... Ladies and gentlemen, they are the greatest team. This is the greatest day of my life. This team is going to drive you out, Lawler. You too, Dundee, Idol, Mantell, or anyone else that gets in the first family's way. And they are. Sound the trumpets, baby. And here comes... And that's right. Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Big E, The New Day. Lance Russell looks up. What are these clowns doing here? These are you serious, Jimmy Hart? And there's Xavier. Whoa. What do you mean clowns, man? What do you mean clowns? We are the New Day. And there is a new day in the first family. And this Jerry Lawler, Queen, King, whatever, man. He does not... And Bill Dundee. Who? Bill Dundee? That guy's smaller than I am. And Dutch Mantell, he needs a shave, man. He needs a shave. That's right. Well, you know what? The New Day is bringing the power of positivity to Jimmy Hart and the first family. Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, Dutch Mantell, even Austin. Who does he idolize? His own self? Oh, my God. And then here's Kofi. Lance, let me tell you something. We're not clowns. We are the New Day. And we just totally rock, man. And here's Big E with a clap. And once we get done with Lawler, Dundee, and Mantell, and Idol, whoever stands in our way, they will know that New Day rocks. New Day rock. And Les like, all right, Jimmy. Yeah, we know the New Day's here. The New Day's here, baby. The New Day is here. Lawler, you're done, baby. And they go leave off the set. And Lance Russell rolling his eyes. Can't believe what Jimmy Hart just brought to Memphis TV. They go to commercial break. Then they come back. Here comes Jerry Lawler. And he says, you know something, Lance? I didn't know the Barnum and Bailey Circus was in town based on the way they're dressed. And this New Day, the only day they're going to get is a day of reckoning at the hands of Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee, the greatest team in Memphis today. And we are ready for them, yada, yada. So they announced a series of matchups that go through November and December, where it's like, okay, one night it'd be Xavier Woods versus Bill Dundee, and Jerry Lawler teaming with Austin Idol to take on Big E and Kofi Kingston. And then it'll go on to Memphis, Louisville, Evansville, kind of a switch up. And then a 6-man tag would probably happen in December with the New Day against Lawler, Idol, and Mantell, where Lawler's team would win. And here comes Jimmy Hart and Xavier Woods complaining on television. Let me tell you something, baby. Jerry Lawler's got the officials in the back pocket. This is ridiculous. The New Day rules. New Day rules. Lawler, you're going to be suffering. I promise you that. I promise you that. It will be the greatest day of my life. Yada, yada. There's Xavier Woods. Yeah, I mean, come on, dude. I mean, you have to use a chain? Look at me. I have nothing on me but my pure self, and you have to pull a chain to beat me in a 6-man tag? Really? Really? Well, guess what, Queen? You and I are going to have at it, man. The New Day and your little buddies and yourself, we'll just probably have ourselves a good old-fashioned street fight. Yeah, we'll beat them up, man. We will tear them apart. Yeah, New Day rocks. New Day rock. And there's Lance again rolling his eyes. I can't believe they're still here. And then they get interrupted by Jerry Lawler Bill Dundee and Austin Idol, and they talk about how they look like a bunch of clowns, but they don't have any clown makeup. So what does they do? They got powder. They throw it right in their eyes. Oh, look, it's a clown. They got powder in their face. He's like, what the hell is this, baby? Jimmy Hart screams, what the hell is this, baby? And then Lawler comes in there, knocks him down. Idol and Dundee and Lawler beat up the New Day. New Day runs like cowards. Right back to the dressing room. Fans go nuts. Lawler, Lawler. And it's just back and forth. I'll give credit to the New Day. I'll see them pick up some wins and some bouts. Maybe a 6-man street fight. They somehow, luckily, beat them. Then probably by around the first week of February, I would see Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, and Austin Idol just tear apart the New Day like no one else's business, and they'd be on their way. That's the best I could probably have for that type of 6-man tag team match. It would be a fun feud between those two teams. That would last a couple months. But in the end, Lawler, Dundee, and Austin Idol will prove to be victorious in that one. Speaking of which, let's do another quick fantasy booker. The time is July 1983. Gary Hart comes to Houston and proclaims that Bruiser Brody, I'm going to drive Bruiser Brody out of the state of Texas. And you remember last time, Bruiser Brody, a man by the name of Luke Harper came in here and you sent him on his way. Well, he has an older brother, Brody, and he's not too pleased with what you did to him. And he's coming for you, and here comes Bram Stroman. Looking mean and nasty and whatever he has in store for him, and he's ready for Brody. And Gary Hart's like, this is the end of Bruiser Brody. I could guarantee that. And then there's Brody in the next segment. It's like, Gary Hart, Bram Stroman, he's an overgrown baby. He grunts on the air like as if he's owning something. I will take care of him like I did Luke Harper last year. Huss, huss. And then they had their one match. It would probably be a battle of the big men. But at the end of the day, Bruiser Brody would win it. And then Braun Strowman would be back the next month, the next card against Andre the Giant. And probably Andre would probably beat Braun, but it would be a tough fight. Now, originally I would have Andre versus Braun Strowman, but I would throw in Bruiser Brody there the previous month to give Braun Strowman a strong push towards, he's tough enough against Brody, even though he lost, but he's tough enough to face Andre and have a good match with Andre. But Andre, at the end of the day, would win the match in Houston, Texas, at the Sam Houston Coliseum. And that is my fantasy booker for this week. Sorry, folks, I didn't get totally prepared for it, but I promise you this, I'll have a better fantasy booker next month here on the Nitro Corner. But I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little entertaining, a little lighthearted this time around. Now it's time for our time machine, and boy, our time machine has been inactive for about 2 months, so it's time to warm up the engines and take a look back in time. We're going to look at the first 2 months of the year, January and February, and I want to say that most of these sources come from, of course, my good friend, a good author named Mark James. I mentioned him before in the past. I'm looking forward to some of his books that he just got out, and I'll be reviewing them probably next time, talk a little bit about it. He has a new book out reprinting old editions of wrestling news. Hopefully he's working on the second book, Tuesday Night at the Gardens. By the way, pick up his copy of Tuesday Night at the Gardens, Volume 1. Tremendous. Mark James. Look out for him in the future. A true historian. Another guy is Graham Cawthorn. Tremendous historian. Great books he has on Battleground Baltimore and the Madison Square Garden book. Tremendous. Great memorabilia in that. Also, I'm going to use some websites like Graham's website, thehistoryofwwe.com, for some of these matches. But without any further ado, those two are my main sources. So without any further ado, let's go back in the time machine, shall we? January 5th, 1973, we'll start with the Georgia Territory. And on that day, the Texas Death Match in Atlanta, Georgia at the Municipal Auditorium saw Bob Armstrong defeat the diamond ring wearing Cadillac man, Sputnik Monroe. And then at the Omni in Atlanta on January 16, 1981, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and Tony Atlas victorious over Harley Race and Ole Anderson. Moving on to the WWE in Baltimore, Maryland on January 19th of 1972, Pedro Morales and Fred Blassie battled to a double countout in a Worldwide Wrestling Federation title match. And then on January 21st, 1963 in Madison Square Garden, the very first NWA World title defense ever held in Madison Square Garden as Buddy Rogers defeated Killer Kowalski. About, I believe, a month later, he would be crowned the first ever Worldwide Wrestling, 3 months later, the first ever Worldwide Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion. January 10, 1981 in Boston, Massachusetts, Stan the Lariat Hansen defeated Bruno Sammartino by a countout. A little fuel there from Coca-Cola. Moving on to the Florida territory, January 16th in Tampa, Florida, at the Fort Hurst Armory NWA World Title match, Harley Race defeating Mr. Wrestling 2. Then on January 21st, 1982, in Jacksonville, Florida, Dory Funk Jr. and David Von Erich, yes, he was a villain in the Florida territory around that time, before returning to Texas as a good guy, defeated the Briscoes by disqualification. Then, let's move on to the NWA Jim Crockett Promotions, January 6, 1983, in Shelby, North Carolina, the unlikely duo of Abdullah the Butcher and Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., that's right, they did team up. They beat Paul Jones and the One-Man Gang. Unbelievable match that was. And then in Columbia, South Carolina, on January 15, 1980, the Superfly Jimmy Snuka defeated Mr. Wrestling 1 in a lumberjack match. Then, January 23rd, 1988, in Cincinnati, Ohio, the NWA World Heavyweight title was on the line as Sting defeated the Nature Boy Ric Flair by disqualification. Now let's go to Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis. On January 16, 1978, Jerry Lawler defeated Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant, then known as Handsome Jimmy Valiant, in a submission match. January 10, 1972, Carl and Kurt Von Bronner defeated Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto in a no disqualification, match cannot be stopped for anything type of bout. That was intense. January 24, 1984, AWA World Tag Team title match. Jerry the King Lawler and the Universal Heartthrob Austin Idol defeated Jerry Blackwell and Ken Patera by disqualification. Moving on to the Louisville Gardens. Under Jerry Jarrett's promotions, January 12, 1972, Tojo Yamamoto, Jerry Jarrett, and Eddie Marlin defeated the team of Kurt and Carl Von Bronner and their manager, the General Song Weingrove, in a 6-man tag. Same arena, Louisville at the Convention Center, January 15, 1974, Tommy Gilbert, Eddie Marlin, and George Goulas, probably the worst wrestler in the history of professional wrestling, trust me, he is the worst, defeated the Fabulous Kangaroos and their manager, Sir Steve Clements. Moving on to the Houston territory for Paul Bosch, is promoter, January 3rd, 1982, the gorgeous one, Gino Hernandez, lost to the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And then January 14th, 1983, the Ugandan giant Kamala won a 2-ring battle royal for $25,000. And as we move on through the timeline, moving into February now, February 4th, 1996, in Bangalore, India, WWE title match, Bret the Hitman Hart defeated the Native American Tatanka. He was a rule breaker at that particular time. I'm talking about Tatanka. February 11th, 1989, Washington, D.C., Hulk Hogan got the victory over the Big Boss Man. Moving on to the WCW NWA promotions. Then NWA was transferred, of course, to WCW in 1988. On February 18, 1993, in Live Oak, Florida, at the high school gym, the main event was for the United States heavyweight title as Dustin Rhodes scored a victory over Barry Windham. And on February 20th, 1986, in Baltimore, Maryland, the Road Warriors defeated Ivan and Nikita Koloff inside a 15-foot-high steel cage. And then we wrap things up back in Louisville at the Convention Center, February 17, 1974. Southern heavyweight title match. Tommy Gilbert went to a draw with Lou Thez. That's right, Lou was in the Memphis territory at that particular time. And on February 25th, 1975, Southern heavyweight title match. Steve Kovac defeated the champion Ron Fuller on a disqualification. And that is your timeline for this month. Glad that you enjoyed the ride. Well, that's it for this edition of the Nitro Corner. Thank you so very much for joining us. Our next show will be on April 23rd. Until then, I'm Paul the Nitro Skyver saying, so long, everybody. We'll see you next time.